Hey guys, welcome back to PristineZReads. So today I'm going to be reviewing Neverseen, Keeper of the Lost Cities, number 4 by Shannon Messenger with Mickey here, or Michaela. So it's just the two of us. We're going to be reviewing Neverseen together, and yeah, let's get started because I have a lot to say. Okay, first up is my summary. Neverseen picks up immediately where everybody's left off. Sophie, Fitz, Keefe, Bianna, and Dex are going to attempt something unheard of in Elven history. They're going to run away and join an illegal organization, the one that created Sophie. Joining the Black Swan will be risky, but it's the only way Sophie and her friends can get answers. Right before they leave Everglen, they're met by Counselor Orlai, who didn't have any intention of harming them, and gave Sophie Counselor Kenrick's cache. A cache is basically a gadget that has the most dangerous secrets of the Elven world hidden inside, because if the counselors knew those secrets, they would probably shatter from the guilds. So the secrets are erased from their minds and hidden inside the caches. Orly tells Sophie that Kenrick wanted her to have it, and she also gives Sophie an imparter, which is the Elven equivalent of a FaceTime gadget, that only calls Orly in case they ever need to talk to her. Della also sneaks along as the group travels to Mr. Forkle, revealing herself only when a part of their journey makes it necessary for her to show herself. Sophie, Fitz, Keefe, Bianna, Dex, and Della meet the Black Swans Collective, or their leading body, and boy are they bizarre. Besides Mr. Forkle, who eats ruckleberries to swell his body and disguise himself, there's Squall, a froster, who crushed herself in ice to make her unrecognizable. Wraith, a vanisher that partially vanishes, leaving just his clothes. Blur, a phaser that breaks down his body partially and reforms partially so that he looks like splotches of light. And finally, Granite, whose ability as a telepath can't disguise him, so he eats a powder that makes him turn into a living, breathing statue. While their disguises are crazy, Sophie and Fitz have other stuff to worry about. Mr. Forkle and Granite both think that Sophie and Fitz can achieve cognitum, an extremely rare level of telepathic connection that requires unrequited trust and sharing all their secrets so they can fully trust each other. Of course, Sophie is, as Keefe puts it, and the foster panicking begins because she's mortally afraid of telling Fitz about her crush on him. But after Sophie teaches Fitz how to transmit to Silveny, Granite says they're compatible, as cognates, that is. Later that night, Sophie learns that Silveny's pregnant. Mr. Forkle decides they have to break into exile to save Prentice so they can have Sophie heal him. So they train Sophie and her friends until they think they're ready. Led by Coif, the newest member of the Black Swan they've met, a ridiculous guy covered in curly fur that looks like a poodle, Sophie, Fitz, Keefe, Bianna, Dex, Della, and the Black Swans Collective break into exile. But something goes terribly wrong. The council has been expecting them and have set a trap. Sophie uses Kenrick's cache to bargain for their freedom, but it comes at a price. The council demands that Sophie and her friends now attend Exilium, the school for the bad kids, so to speak. And if they want Prentice, they have to trade Gethin, the member of the Neverseen they captured on Mount Everest, for him. Mr. Forkle agrees. So they escape from exile mostly unharmed, except for Fitz, who got impaled by an arthropleura. Not sure if I said that right. Basically a giant bug, and had a lot of venom in his body. But the Black Swan's mysterious physic, or their doctor, cures him. While training in their various abilities with the collective, Keefe discovers new memories his mom had erased from his mind. These memories leave him broken and needing some serious help to get him through this. And they have lots of things to work on. While attending Exilium, they find out that the Neverseen's Siniopath, Neverseen's Sonopath? How do you say that? Sonopath.
No one knows.
Okay, I'm just going to say Sonopath because that's what it looks like. While attending Exilium, they find out that the Neverseen's Sonopath, who has the ability to create force fields, is named Rui Ignis and was one of the worst waywards to attend Exilium. Sophie also meets two other waywards, the twins Tam and Lin Song. Tam's a shade, which means he can control darkness using a thing called shadow vapor. Lin's a hydrokinetic, which means she can control water. They were banished because when Lin manifested, her parents took her to Atlantis. Yes, Atlantis is in the Elven world and underwater. And she couldn't control her new power and ended up flooding the city. Tam didn't do anything to get exiled, but he chose to go with Lynn for a few reasons. The first being because he loves her a lot, and the second being because their parents didn't like having twins. For some reason, the elves have a stupid, judgy attitude towards multiple births, and would try to convince them that they were born separately. But Tam and Lynn knew better. Sophie befriends them, although Tam is wary of her, and she has Mr. Forkle help Tam and Lynn find a better place to live, as they've pretty much been roughing it in the Wildwood colony. Meanwhile, Dex hacks into other ancient archives and discovers that the plague that infects the gnomes are called Dracostomes, an ogre parasite, and that the council has known about it all along and has hidden it from the gnomes. Apparently, King Dimitar, the king of the ogres, had worked with the Neverseen to unleash it on the gnomes. Calla, which is the gnome that helped with Sophie's Project Moonlark, Calla's shocked when she finds out, and the gnomes start protesting in Eternalia, the elven capital. While there, King Dimitar makes an unwelcome experience, as well with somebody Sophie thought she'd never see again. Fintan. He survived the Everblaze and Oblivamire. Fintan and Dimitar claim they have a cure for the gnome plague, a bark from a tree called the Panax that has supposed healing power, but the gnomes have to work in Ravagog, the ogre capital, for the rest of their lives. Sophie, Keefe, Fitz, Biana, and Dex decide they'll break into Ravagog and find the cure. Mr. Forkle tries to dissuade them, but no go. He does say, though, that they should take an elf who's been to Ravagog before with them, and Tam and Lynn, the Shade and Hydrokinetic they met at Exilium. So they take Alvar, Fitz and Biana's older brother, who also used to go look for Sophie before Fitz did, and Tam and Lynn to sneak into Ravagog. Well, when they get there, Sophie plans to have Keefe be a distraction, while she and Fitz probe King Dimitar's mind for the secret to the cure. However, when Sophie finds out that the cure is a hoax and there's no cure at all, Dimitar recognizes Keefe from Kenrick's funeral. Of course, he's furious, and they have to blow their cover to escape. While escaping, Lynn has to flood the city, but they escape unscathed. While regrouping, they're found by Fintan and Brandt. Fintan reveals that Alvar has secretly been a part of the Neverseen, and everybody is shocked and horrified, Fitz and Biana most of all. Fintan forces Alvar to come with him and Brandt, and Sophie quickly teleports them all the way back to Havenfield, since Alvar's been to Aluvatar, the Black Swan's hideout, and knows what it looks like. Alden and Della are devastated when they find out. But in the midst of their tragedy, there's one piece of good news. Calla has figured out the cure. She says that the Panax tree's healing power is in their blossoms, not the bark, but there are no more Panax left. So Calla tells them another secret. If a gnome agrees to become a Panax, eventually a shift will happen and they'll turn into a tree. All gnomes turn into trees when they die, but to be a Panax, it requires sacrifice. So Calla is willing to become the cure, and she becomes a Panax overnight. They're able to use her blossoms to save the gnomes. However, unfortunately, all good things have bad with them. The day after Calla's shift, Keefe comes to Havenfield and gives Sophie a necklace he originally made for his mother, but Lady Chinella didn't even wear it once. As in 0. Anyways, Keefe starts acting really weird, and Sophie knows something's wrong, especially when he gets ready to leap with a yellow-colored crystal. Basically, like, leaping crystals are categorized by color. Blue leaps to the Forbidden Cities, clear leaps to the Lost Cities, green leaps to the Ogre Cities, and yellow to the neutral territories. Sophie tags along at the last second, leaping with Keefe to a deserted clearing. Keefe is clearly upset that she followed him, and when Sophie finds out that he doesn't have his home crystal, something is clearly wrong. She finds out why when Fintan, Brandt, and Alvar show up. Turns out Keefe's pulling off the ultimate betrayal and joining the Neverseen. I really hated him for that, by the way. And he gives Fintan Kenrick's cache after he mimics Sophie's voice. Backstory being that Adeline taught Sophie a conjurer trick to hide Kenrick's cache in the void, which is where Sophie navigates through when she teleports, and it can only be summoned through Sophie's voice. But when Fintan says that they'll take Sophie with Keefe, Keefe shows Sophie a temporary leaping crystal he made in a bead in the necklace he gave her, and Sophie tries to convince Keefe to come with her, but he refuses. Keefe says that he recovered some memories, making him think that he's not who Sophie thinks he is, so she escapes, leaving him behind. When she arrives at Havenfield, heartbroken and in tears, Mr. Forkle and Granite are there, along with Grady and Adeline. Grady is enraged to hear of Keith's betrayal, Adeline is saddened, and Mr. Forkle and Granite are shocked. But then Mr. Forkle decides to let Sophie know his and Granite's identities, or at least one of them. Mr. Forkle eats some caloberries, which are the opposite of ruckleberries, the ones he eats to turn into Forkle, and Granite takes some powder that will take away his rocky disguise. Mr. Forkle reveals himself as Magnate Leto, Sophie's principal at Foxfire, and Granite reveals himself as Tiergan, Sophie's telepathy mentor, and Wiley, or Prentice's son, adoptive dad. Sophie's obviously shocked, as she had no idea whatsoever that they were Magnate Leto and Tiergan. She's not sure she can ever recover from Keith's betrayal, but she knows that the Neverseen won't stop until they can control or eliminate Sophie and her friends. The end. Okay, so that's it for the summary. Next up is going to be the morals, and we'll have Mickey do worldviews.
Okay, so Shannon Messenger is not a Christian author, but she holds good moral standards, considering the fact that she isn't a Christian. There are a few mentions of luck, and there was one part where Alden told Sophie and her friends to follow their hearts before they left to join the Black Swan. Technically, there's nothing wrong with this. I just be careful with that philosophy, as the Bible says, that our hearts are wicked and will lead us on the wrong paths. Again, there's nothing really wrong with that. We're just probably being overly paranoid again.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. So next up is foul language. There aren't any bad words necessarily, but there are a few mentions of like so-and-so muttered a few words they were supposed to say, or so-and-so swore under their breath. But again, there aren't any specific words mentioned. Also a few shut-ups and mild insults, but that's it. All right, next up is romance. Nikki, you want to take that?
So this book definitely starts to ramp up a little bit in terms of romance. But if that sounds wrong, there's nothing inappropriate. It's all very clean. And what we mean is that it's pretty clear now that Sophie likes Fitz, and Dex, Keith, and probably Fitz all like Sophie, along with who like probably every other person that sees her. So it's very complicated. And Sophie, however, to quote a later character, is rocking the adorably oblivious thing, as per usual. Nothing different there. She has no idea, but she knows Fitz knows that she's hiding something from him during their cognate trading, which is good to read about. Very, very fun. Fitz keeps trying to get Sophie to tell him her secret, which is that she likes him, but Keith always interrupts them by saying he's picking up some strange mood swings. There are also some other things that we can put in the description so you can check there, and it's nothing inappropriate, just not gonna mention it here. And one last thing. Most of the romance is just Keith being Keith, Fitz being Fitz, and Dex being Dex. And then Sophie is just prancing around like, oh, I don't know what you mean.
It's actually really obvious. I'm really like, Sophie, she can do all this other stuff, but she can't figure out that Fitz Keith and Dex like her.
Maybe not Fitz. You don't have to realize Fitz, but at least realize what
Yeah. By the way, Mickey's on Team So Keith, if you remember that from my first video. And so she really hates, Sophie and Fitz's, cognate connection, and yeah.
Yeah, the one excuse that Fitz has whenever Sophie does something without him is, but we're cognate.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. There's this point in a later book, when they're getting ready to go somewhere, and it was like Sophie and Keith going somewhere, and then Fitz was like, but I should go with you, Sophie, and then he was like, wait for it, and then Fitz is like, we're cognates, and he was like, of course you had to say it, at least you're consistent every time. But yeah.
I mean, most of the time, it's not even just Sophie and Keith going somewhere. It's like 3 people going somewhere without Fitz, and yet he's just But we're cognates.
Yeah, exactly.
Cognates were supposed to go everywhere. But
Everywhere together. Anyways, we digress a lot. Next up is drugs. So there were a few points when some people have to take sedatives if the situation was getting out of hand or stuff like that, but that's it. Minor mention. Okay, so that's it for the morals. Next up is going to be my rating and recommended age level. So I'm going to rate this 5 stars. I feel like Neverseen was one of the more heavily plotted books with like tons of action and crazy good storylines with new twists and surprises. But then again, pretty much every book in the series ends on a cliffhanger. So I'm going to put my recommended age at 11 plus. While the content is definitely suitable for 10 plus, so parents out there, if you have a really mature 10-year-old, like by all means, go ahead. I just feel like the story is really complicated, so anybody younger than 10 will probably have a hard time following along with the story fully. But yeah, I like loved this book, and let me just say, this is the primary reason I like this book. I was totally biased from the moment I met Tam and Lynn. In case you do not know, Tam is my last name. Fun trivia about me. And I have an aunt named Lynn, spelled the exact same way. I'm not kidding, it legitimately is. So whenever Mr. Forkle like calls Tam Mr. Tam, because Mr. Forkle has this like weird thing of calling everybody like Mr. and Miss, I like always think it sounds like somebody's talking to my dad. And Tam and Lynn are both Asian looking. Messenger said they look like K-pop idols or people straight out of a meme, but I personally think they look Chinese, though my bias is probably influencing that. So, like, I guess I just love how many diverse characters Messenger has in her books. Though I will say I was, like, not happy with what Messenger had Tam do in Flashback. Like, it was unspeakable, but I'll save that for my Flashback review. But again, needless to say, I love Tam and Lynn. So it never seemed like totally made me so happy. But I need to finish my little rant now and let Mickey give you her review.
just, I'm also on the Team Tam and Lynn squad for the rest of eternity. They're my favorite characters in pretty much any series ever. I love them to death. But anyway. So for the rating, I'm going to give it a 4.9 stars just because, like I've said before, nothing's perfect, and I don't want to give 5 stars unless it's like the literally best thing in the entire universe. But this is my favorite book, so I'm going to rate it a little bit higher than I rated the first book, I think, if my memory serves me. So, yeah. And then the recommended age level, I would say 10 plus, but I feel like it really depends on what your preference is. I mean, if you're younger than 10, I would say by all means read the books. They're incredible. But they are quite long, and this one in particular is very complex and has a lot of different subplots. And a lot of things going on at once, and it's very difficult to keep track. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say, other than the fact that I am still Team Alva Redemption Squad.
Alva Redemption Squad.
Yes, for crying out!
Yeah, I don't know why Fitz hates Alvar like so much. Like he almost killed him, but anyways, that's kind of
actually wants to kill him.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're watching this, you probably don't have a problem with spoilers. So I'll just go and spoil the rest of the series for you. So basically, like Fitz wants to like kill Alvar later when he finds out about his betrayal. But like Bianna's not that extreme. Like she still doesn't like Alvar necessarily, but I mean like Fitz really has it in for him.
Yeah, the issue with Bianna is that she's too scared to say anything about Alvar in front of Fitz for fear that he's gonna have a nervous breakdown and start punching things.
Yeah, that is like kind of Fitz's tendency. That's just like his personality, which is like, I don't know, another kind of one of the fail points to Sophie's, like, that he's like, he just has a lot of anger issues. But, I mean, yeah. And he can be kind of violent, too, but, yeah, that's kind of more spoilers. But yeah, okay. So that pretty much wraps up our review of Neverseen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this review. I have links to this book in the description below, so check those out. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Being prepared is never a bad idea, Calla told her. No matter what happens, I won't be here forever. And when I think of what I want to be remembered for, it comes down to two things.
I want to be remembered for 2 things in life. 1, my appetite. Remember Shona? She was the dog who could eat 52 dental chews in 1 hour. She could eat a whole bag of liver treats for dinner. She could eat anything and everything. She was known for eating pillows, much to my Pristine's disliking, books, carpet fluff, markers, crayons, and etc. 2, I want to be remembered for an amazing dog I was. I was so amazing, I let my owners walk me, I let them pet me, I let them groom me, I let them feed me dinner, I let them feed me lunch. No, wait, I let them feed me breakfast. I let them bathe me. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't like bathing at all. But whatever. Pristine, wasn't I such an amazing dog? Go on, tell them I was so amazing, right? Right?
Actually...
You can stop your sentence right there. Let's just focus on my amazingness here, yeah? You know, right?
You and my Stark flowers do. So what better legacy could I have than to combine them? You're not planning on cooking me for dinner, right? Sophie asked.
Oh, the injustice, the indignity, the preposterousness. You, I could never dream of being eaten by, I consider my owner's family members. I could never dream of being cooked or even eaten by my family members, you know? The injustice. This is, not fair. Pristine, you would never eat me, right? You would, right? Would you? Would you? Tell us. Come on. Fess up. Would you?
No, I wouldn't eat you, Shauna. But there are some parts of the world where people actually do eat dog meat, right?
What? That is just mind-boggling. Why? How can people live with a clear conscience? They must be beside themselves with guilt. I am so sorry, my fellow doggies. My heart goes out to you. I am so sorry you have to go through this. I cannot imagine being eaten at all. At least I don't get eaten. But anyways, I am so sorry for you, fellow dogs. Please, may God forgive those people for those evil deeds.